7:05. The chair will entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. The chair will entertain a motion to seal the minutes of executive session.
Motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Town council meeting. It's roll call by the clerk, please.
Carrie McGee,
Here.
Greg LeBoissonier,
Here.
Deb Bacon, Gary Cody,
Here.
Ann Dixon,
Here.
Nicholas Gorham,
Here.
Ed Wazika.
Here.
Okay, Town Sergeant, would you lead us?
I like that the scouts come up from 211 and join me in the.
Great.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation be by Pastor Chris Baker. Is he here today? Okay, great. If you would be so kind, sure, you can come right up to the podium, please. And I thank you for coming here for this.
Thank you. In respect, let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for these men and women that have dedicated their time and energy to seeing the betterment of this community. I thank you for their commitment and their concern, and I pray that you would bless them tonight as they make decisions for this community. I pray that you bless each family that's here represented. Bless the community, and we thank you so much for the opportunity to be stewards of this wonderful town that you've given to us. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
God bless you.
Once again, thank you. Okay, Town Sergeant, the emergency evacuation plan, please.
Make sure I'm not in the two exits in the rear, go to the right or left, to take outside. And what about the Patriots?
Okay, President's comments. I don't have much. I just got a couple little things. Seems like the OMA laws have changed a little bit, so we I guess we have to list everything that we've talked about as far as district updates. The original plan for district updates was just to let the people know what's going on in the district, but apparently there's some taxpayers out there who want to file a complaint against us for speaking about something that's not on the agenda. We've spent a lot of time, resources, and money to answer these complaints. I have decided to eliminate district updates. If the people want to talk to any of the council members, we're available via phone, email, or I'll ask some of the council members to hang around after the meeting for a couple minutes to answer questions. And that's also the reason why when we have public comment, we cannot answer your public comment. It's public comment, not public discussion. We've had too many open meeting violations complaints coming up against us because we mentioned something, whether it has substance or not, we mentioned something that's not on the agenda. I'm going to continue doing presidential comments. I'm just going to give you updates, congratulating certain, people and so on, but I won't talk about anything with any substance. So that's all I have on President's comments, and we're going to be very careful not to make any mistakes on it. I guess I do want to mention one other thing. We have some vacancies on our boards and commissions. So I encourage anybody, any resident out there that's interested in volunteering or serving on a board and commission. We have Patuxent River Authority, a vacancy. We have Sewer Assessment Board of Review vacancies. We have a Sewer Subcommittee vacancy. We have a Tax Assessment Board of Review. We have a Zoning Board of Review. And anybody wants to put an application for any board we've not even mentioned, it's always changing in people are leaving for one reason or another. So I encourage taxpayers to volunteer and do their duty and serve on some of our boards. Okay, with that being said, I guess the approval of the town council meeting, I think we're gonna ask to table that, as we received the copy of the minutes late and have not really had a chance to go over them, so I'm gonna ask for a motion that we table it until the next meeting.
Motion to table.
Do I have a second? We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, we'll table that. The next order of business, number 4. Madam Clerk, would you read that, please?
Rhode Island Police Accreditation Commission Award presented by Executive Director Christine Crocker.
Evening, Mr. President, honorable members of the Town Council, Mr. Wazika, Mr. Gorham, Ms. Samatrano, members of the public, appreciate you being here tonight. I'd like to recognize and introduce the chairman of the Rhode Island Accreditation Commission, board chair, and Smithfield Police Chief who's here tonight, Richard St. Sever, and the RIPAC executive director, Chris Crocker, who is also here tonight in attendance to make it official that we get accredited. As chief, I'm extremely proud to be able to say that for the first time in the history of the Coventry Police Department, that we're an accredited agency through the Rhode Island Police Accreditation Commission. When we developed our strategic plan a few years ago, this was part of it, only behind getting a new facility. So this is a really long haul for both, but certainly a huge achievement today. I'd like to take a moment to thank Chief St. Sever, who's been extremely helpful to me personally and to our agency with tours of his building and all of his he's got the new facility now almost online completely, but he's been really helpful to us, giving us knowledge and expertise on his building project, so thanks, Chief. So no one knows how hard it is to be an accreditation manager more than Captain Pete Zalabowski and Lieutenant Gary Miller. Both of them have worked very hard over the past several years toward this goal, and only they and other accreditation managers know how truly time-consuming and difficult this process is. They don't make TV shows called Chicago Accreditation, because the reality is that the work isn't very exciting, but it's extremely important to the health of the police agency. So I'm proud to say that I lead a department today that holds itself to the highest standards set by RIPAC. And I want to personally thank Chris, Pete, and Gary for the hard work and attention to detail that brought us here today. I'd like to call up Captain Zalabowski, say a few words to explain a little bit about the process and the journey that brought us here today. Pete.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to just start off by, for those who are not familiar with accreditation, I talked to a lot of people. They have no idea what accreditation is. I didn't know a few years ago. Now I know. RIPAC stands for the Rhode Island Police Accreditation Commission. The commission was established by the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association, and it's a voluntary program in which police departments are required to meet over 200 standards that are recognized as industry best practices. Many other states across the country have their own state accreditation program as well. Probably not as difficult as RIPAC, but I'm sure they have them. Most of the RIPAC standards require our police department to have written directives such as policies, and additionally to provide a proof which shows that we are meeting the requirements of the standards. These standards cover a myriad of topics dealing with anything from firearms training to working conditions such as job descriptions, health and fitness standards, to evidence and property control, and everything in between. There's a lot to it. It's 200 standards. Many of these standards have even are broken down into subcategories that could have 10 or more subcategories for each one. The Coventry Police Department has met these rigorous standards by reviewing, updating, and even creating new policies and directives, which now total about 109 in number. When I started, I think we had about 80 policies. Now we're up to about 109. You think that might be a bad thing, but it's a good thing. It keeps us in line to tell us what we're doing. To also meet these standards, we regularly conduct trainings such as mental health trainings, legal updates, and officer safety, which is one of my priorities. These trainings ensure our staff are well prepared to provide services in a safe and efficient manner while keeping themselves as safe as possible and respecting the rights of those we serve. Accreditation is not a one-time event. To maintain our accreditation status, we are required to basically keep doing what we are doing. So in 3 years, we have to do this again. We have to meet with the assessors, the assessment team from RIPAC, and prove to them that we're still doing what we are required to do. Includes trainings, policy review, and self-audits. Process is very time-consuming, it's very, very tedious, but it's one of the, it reaps enormous benefits for us, for the department, and for the town as well. This process helps reduce the town's liability, assists in keeping employees safe and well-trained, and reinforces the professionalism of our police department. I would like to thank the town council, town manager Ed Wazika, Colonel McDonald, excuse me, our accreditation manager, Lieutenant Miller, and the support of and hard work of the whole police department that got us to where we are today. This endeavor is definitely a team effort. It's not just one or two people, it's the entire agency who really got us here tonight. We couldn't have done it without everybody's participation. I would like now to introduce Chief Saint Savura from Smithfield. He's the chairperson of the commission and the executive director of Rhode Island Police Accreditation Commissioner. Happy birthday, Christine Crocker. It's her birthday today.
We don't acknowledge them anymore.
Members of the council, good evening. Thank you very much for this opportunity to recognize Colonel McDonald and the fine men and women of the Coventry Police Department. Again, my name is Richard Saint Savura. I'm the police chief in Smithfield, and I'm also the chair of the Rhode Island Police Accreditation Board of Directors and Commission. As a police chief for nearly 9 years now myself, and I know you're thinking, how could that be? He looks so young, right? I've witnessed that police chiefs really have one of two ways to lead their agencies. They can cross their fingers and fly by the seat of their pants, or they can lead by following a roadmap that is made up of some of the highest of industry standards. In this case, that would be police accreditation. Not surprisingly at all, Colonel McDonald has chosen the latter. The end result of his pursuit and future maintenance of accreditation is a more professional agency that is more accountable to the deserving residents of the town of Coventry. I'll borrow a notation from the assessment team's final report, and I'll paraphrase. The Coventry Police Department is a well-trained, well-managed, and well-respected Rhode Island law enforcement agency, dedicated and committed to those they serve. I couldn't agree with this statement anymore, and on behalf of the Board of Directors and the Commission, congratulations to Colonel Mack and to the members of the Coventry Police Department on attaining accredited status. And at this time, I'd like to ask Colonel Mack and members of his staff to come forward. When you moved the podium, it really threw me off. So once again, on behalf of the RIPAC Board of Directors and the Commission, I present to you this certificate of accreditation. It's good for 3 years, and just keep in mind, 3 years comes around really fast. Okay? I'll yield the mic at this time to Executive Director Christine Crocker.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I appreciate it.
Good evening. I'll be brief, but I did want to add a few comments. I myself and Chief Saint Savura are old-time accreditation managers. We won't say exactly how long ago, but both of our agencies at a point in time decided accreditation was the way to go. And little did we know back then where we'd be today. As Captain Zalabowski said, a lot of people, when you say accreditation, well, what is it? To help bring it to perspective, would you pay $30,000, $40,000 to send your child to a college or university that's not accredited? Are you going to have surgery in a hospital that's not accredited? Most of us would say no. Well, in this day and age, when the demands on law enforcement are ever increasing, new challenges every day, we have to know a little bit about everything to serve our communities. Accreditation provides those tools. It is the management model. It gives our personnel the tools they need to make good, sound decisions, and it helps us focus our service delivery more specifically to the communities we serve. It is not an easy task, and accreditation is not a destination, it's a journey. As the challenges change, so too will accreditation to help our agencies meet that. And I have to also thank the Colonel for allowing his accreditation team to serve as mentors to other agencies here in Rhode Island seeking accreditation. Rhode Island is unique in the sense that we are a small state, but every single law enforcement agency, with the exception of one, who can participate in this program is participating. And you have achieved this goal in the top half of the agencies. So as taxpayers and community members, you can rest assured you departments here in the state of Rhode Island. And as a token to remind you of the hard work and the achievement you have made, have a little something, maybe that you can throw against the wall the next time I say, oh, you got to do this now. But just something to recognize this very tremendous achievement. In recognition of professional excellence, to Colonel John McDonald, in recognition of your initial award of accreditation, January 28th, 2019. And to the accreditation team who stirred the ship, as the captain said, they may have led the charge, but this wouldn't happen without the participation and the buy-in of the entire department. So, Captain, in recognition of professional excellence, this is presented to you, Captain Peter Zalabowski, in recognition of your initial award of accreditation, January 28, 2019. Lieutenant, in recognition of your professional excellence, presented to Lieutenant Gary Miller in recognition of your initial award of accreditation, January 28, 2019. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Just a word, this council and the residents of Coventry are very proud of our police department. It is an outstanding police department. Keep up the good work, and we're very proud. Make sure you reiterate that to all your members, that keep up the good work, and thank you very much.
May I?
Yes, you may.
I just want, first of all, to congratulate the entire department on receiving accreditation. What I want people to realize is that because of the leadership on our department, over and over and over again, we have been able to promote from within when the chief's position becomes available due to retirement or moving on or whatever. I think it's a testament to leadership that the command staff brings their subordinates along with them on their climb to the top, in the fact that we can promote a chief from within our own department so they can continue to work with men and women who they developed a trust and an understanding in a relationship that's based on mutual respect. Not every police department can do that throughout the country. I think the fact that the town of Coventry and its leadership team has been able to continue that throughout the years and allow us to promote from within says a lot about the men and women that serve our community, the men and women that we need to a little bit more show our appreciation to and say thank you to, because listen, I've done a lot of different things for a living. Not once have I ever had to put a gun on to go to work every day. And I wouldn't do it if they were paying me double what these men and women are getting paid. So thank you very much. Chief, thank you very much. Your leadership team is excellent, above any that I know of, and I just wanted to publicly say I appreciate it, and I appreciate you looking out for me and my family. So thank you very much.
Okay, item number 5. Madam Clerk, would you please read that?
Award presented by Coventry Police Department to Brandon Dowling.
So I'm going to drag my animal control supervisor up here. Where are you? She loves to public speak, she said, earlier in the week. So I promised I'd give her an opportunity to. So several months ago, our Coventry Police Animal Control Division received a new shed because of a young Eagle Scout candidate named Brendan Dowling and his family who reached out to our animal control officers. Brendan and several scouts from Coventry Troop 11 came to our animal control facility and took down our old shed and built us a new shed at no cost to the town of Coventry. Scouts also performed various maintenance around the pound during the project. They cleaned kennels, organized food and blankets, raked the yard, and did various other tasks. So thanks to Troop 11, Boy Scouts, our facility has never looked as good as it does today.
Ditto.
That'd be too easy.
I just want to give you a brief overview of how we got to this point. Over the summer, Brendan Dowling contacted me about doing some projects around the pound. He came by, we walked the yard, I showed him some easy projects of painting, maybe putting up a fence. He noticed our deplorable shed that we use for storage. He said, yeah, I think I can build you a new shed and take that down. Over the next few months, Brendan did a phenomenal job, came up with a whole plan of tools, equipment, lumber that he would need to erect a brand new shed. Over the Thanksgiving weekend, him, Troop 11, came to the pound. One day, demolished the old shed, and the next day, erected a brand new shed. Brendan insisted that the town of Coventry not put out one dime. Through fundraising or donations, his family were able to erect us a brand new shed at no cost to the town. The scouts that were there were phenomenal young men. The scouts cleaned the yard, organized donations. They left that facility looking better than it's ever looked. I was extremely impressed. And on behalf of the Coventry Animal Control, the Coventry Police Department, I wanted to thank Troop 11, the Dowling family, and mostly Brendan Dowling. Appreciate your time and effort. Thank you.
Brendan, can you come on up? I'm just going to read the inscription on the award. Tonight we'd like to award the K-9 Enzo Community Service Award to Brendan Dowling for recognition of outstanding public service and citizenship demonstrated while performing a community project for Coventry Animal Control. Your demonstrated leadership building a shed for our animal control facility exemplifies the best qualities of the Eagle Scout Service Project and brings great credit upon you, Troop 11, and the Boy Scouts of America. We wish you the best of luck on your journey to achieving the Eagle Scout rank. Yeah, yeah. And I think our town council after this would like to do a proclamation for the entire Troop 11.
Yeah, we have a.
You have them all come up, sir, or you want to just?
Yeah, we'll, Madam Clerk, would you read number 6, please?
Proclamation to Troop 11 and Brendan Dowling for helping build a shed for Coventry's animal control facility.
We have a proclamation for Brendan Dowling and a proclamation for Troop 11 for the new shed. Will we both of you all come up, please?
We'll bring everybody up.
on,
Get some
gentlemen.
photos.
first proclamation is for Brendan Downing, the state of Rhode Island, Providence Plantation, town of Coventry. Whereas Brendan Downing from Troop 11 of the Boy Scouts of America is working towards his advanced rank of Eagle Scout. And whereas Eagle Scouts have demonstrated history of setting the example for other scouts to follow and have been recognized as leaders in life. And whereas Brendan was able to raise funds to purchase material, and whereas Brendan and 20 Boy Scouts from Troop 11 have gone above and beyond to build a new shed for the Coventry Animal Control Facility. Whereas Brendan has demonstrated leadership and showed outstanding service to our community. Now, therefore, the town of Coventry hereby extends its sincere appreciation and thanks for his commitment to the community. In testimony hereof, I hereby do my hand and cause the seal of the town to fix the 28th day of January 2019. Thank you, young man. Very proud of
Mr. McGee only wanted to read one, so he passed one on to me. So this one is to a proclamation from the town of Coventry, county of Kent, state of Rhode Island, Providence Plantations. The proclamation reads, whereas 20 Boy Scouts from Coventry Troop 11 have gone above and beyond to build a new shed for the Coventry Animal Control Facility, and whereas they have demonstrated leadership and showed the best qualities of outstanding services to the community, now therefore the town council of the town of Coventry expresses its sincere appreciation and thanks for their commitment to our community, to Coventry Troop 11, in testimony whereof he signed it this day, 28th January 2009. I did also want to point out too that if anybody not involved in scouting doesn't understand what that little arrow means, that means these guys are honor roll students, and and that's what they're all aspire to be, great students as well as great citizens of our community. So thank you very much, and I'm going to present this to your number 2 guy in command over here right now, and then you can pass it on. So thank you, and let's run the gamut over here, guys.
Congratulations again.
Congratulations again, young man. Thank you.
Congratulations, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Again, congratulations. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very
Good
much.
to see you again.
You guys did a great job. Thanks, good seeing you.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, congratulations. Good job, guys. Great job, thank you. Thank you, good job.
Yeah, just a second, you know. Just give me.
Once again, we want to thank you guys. You guys are the future leaders of the town, the state, so keep up the good work. And I think Councilwoman Dixon has something she'd like to say.
Hello, gentlemen. I'd like to just add my personal congratulations.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. I'd like to add my personal congratulations to all of you Boy Scouts. I happen to be the proud mother of an Eagle Scout, a grandmother of an Eagle Scout, another one coming on its way to be an Eagle Scout, and I was also on an Eagle Scout Board of Review when I was with Troop 22 in North Kingstown. So I know a lot about camping and hiking and projects too. I guess I did help plant the trees at Davisville one year, many years ago. So I know a lot about scouting. It's a wonderful program, and I know it takes a lot of work to get all those badges that you have been working on. I hope you had a lot of fun doing it, and congratulations. You make everyone very proud. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item number 7 is the school committee report, school department report. Okay. Welcome, Donna. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Perfect. Good evening, Town Council members, town officials, and members of the public.
Talk into the mic a little bit more. Okay.
How's that? Better? I am pleased to be able to provide you with some highlights from the school committee and school administration. At our January 24th school committee meeting, school committee chairperson Kathy Patnode held a discussion with the school committee members on developing and fostering a stronger collaboration with the town council. The school committee the school committee thought it would be beneficial to meet on a quarterly basis perhaps at the Naughty Oak Room, beginning in the spring. These would be posted open meetings. Ms. Patnode will be reaching out to the Town Council President, Mr. McGee, to discuss format and topics, and the entire school committee looks forward to working with the Town Council to address the needs of the community going forward. Congratulations are in order for our head football coach, Stanley Dunbar, for being selected as Division II-B Coach of the Year. We are proud of his accomplishments and wish to extend a heartfelt thank you to him for his commitment. The superintendent wanted me to let you know that he will be scheduling 2 public presentations for the school committee members. Mr. Levis would like to extend an invitation to the members of the town council to participate as well. The first presentation will be from the Secretary of State's office on open meetings, and the second from the State Ethics Commission office on the regulations pertaining to public officials and employees. The meetings will be held in early spring as part of the regularly scheduled school committee meetings. The superintendent will reach out to the town council with more information once the meetings are scheduled. I am pleased to inform you that the Coventry Public Schools received $150,000 for technical assistance from RIDE through the School Building Authority. These funds will be used to begin the process of a new Necessity for School Construction application. A consultant who has expertise in education and school design must be hired to facilitate a process to look at our current facilities and our future needs. A committee of community stakeholders will be led through the process to develop a long-term facilities plan to address the educational needs of our students and in the near and distant future. We will be going out to bid soon for the facilitator. We look forward to engaging the town council and numerous other community stakeholders in through this process. Coventry Public Schools will be holding a budget workshop on February 4th at 6 p.m. at the School Administration Building prior to the legislative meeting scheduled for that evening. Including the December 10th presentation already given, this will be our 4th workshop to discuss the FY20 budget. The school committee will be voting on a line item budget at our February 7th school committee meeting, and we must turn in a detailed budget into the town manager on February 8th. There are still numerous variables, unknowns, that will impact our final budget after February 8th. I believe there has been communication between school department administration, the town manager, and the town director of finance on this topic. You should also be aware that the school department needs to dedicate 1% of its operating budget to maintenance. This is approximately $1.2 million. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Don. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, item number 8. Madam Clerk, will you read that, please?
The Community Partnership Center at Roger Williams University, presentation on our municipal collection facility.
That is proposed municipal collection facility.
Okay.
That should have been on there.
All right.
Proposed.
Kevin, you giving this? You have somebody else here?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have a short preamble before the actual presentation by the Roger Williams University staff. I'd like to first recognize and thank Arnold Robinson, who's here tonight, the Associate Dean of Community Engagement and the Director of the Roger Williams University Community Partnership Center. Ms. Angela Medeiros was the Project Coordinator from the Roger Williams University Community Partnership Center, and the Design and Research Team, Isabel Clark, Julia Pateman, Eva Alessandroni, and Emmy Young, along with Kenzie, who's a new addition. This process started in October of 2017 and has been ongoing with numerous meetings at the DPW office, proposed site, and the university. The goal for this 3-pronged facility, a proposed municipal collection facility, is a municipal materials yard, a yard waste collection area, and debris management area. It is to save the town of Coventry tax dollars by diverting yard waste from Rhode Island Resource Recovery, reducing cost for earth materials, and providing an area for comprehensive federal reimbursement funding. The municipal material yard, the Coventry Municipal Landfill capping is nearly complete, and it's going to be completed by this midsummer of this year, 2019. Currently, DPW has a material storage area adjacent to the landfill, which will become inaccessible once the landfill closure is complete. The materials currently in the storage area include asphalt millings, plantable soil, gravel, and stone from excavations and drainage projects. It is important on two aspects: the need for DPW to not increase disposal costs for these construction materials at Rhode Island Resource Recovery, and processing the materials for reuse, reducing the cost for earth materials, gravel, stone, and plantable soils. The yard waste collection area cost for the town for the past 5 years continues to escalate each year. The town incurs costs for not only the disposal costs, but also the trucking costs to Rhode Island Resource Recovery. From 2013 to 2018, our costs range from $52,500 to $56,000 just for disposal of our yard waste. Our yard waste disposal tonnage hovers just around 2,000 tons per year. As of 1/25/19, the town has disposed of 1,168 tons of our adjusted 1,350-ton allocation. At this year's rate, we expect to exceed the 200-ton average, and the cost may exceed $60,000. Rhode Island Resource Recovery is currently discussing the elimination of the yard waste cap around 2022 and charge all communities for every ton of yard waste disposed of. This has a potential for a cost of $50,000 just for the cost of disposal if the rate remains the same. Rhode Island Resource Recovery is encouraging all municipalities to divert yard waste from the landfill by establishing their own facility. The debris management area, this area will allow the town to have an area to coordinate the debris generated by natural and man-made disasters. Natural disasters include hurricane, tornado, flooding, hail, and earthquake. Man-made disasters, fires, special events, civic disorder, and transportation accidents. This area will enable the town to work with FEMA to assist in the reimbursement process with federal assistance when a debris-generating event exceeds the town of Coventry's cleanup capabilities. If approved by the town, this project will be a multi-year effort, taking between 3 to 5 years. The town will self-perform a majority of the task and bring this site to realization. The first phase will be the material storage area to utilize the stored materials at the landfill closure facility. Let me introduce the design and research team along with Arnold Robinson for the presentation from Roger Williams University. Thank you.
Good evening. I have the easiest job, which is to just give you a sense of context. And I think one of the questions might be when thinking about a facility like this, why Roger Williams? Why have a university from all the way over on the other side of the bay? I'm a native Rhode Islander. We don't travel this far. Roger Williams 9 years ago established a center called the Community Partnership Center, which marries up students at the end of their education, seniors, graduate students, who are interested in applying their skills and the disciplines that they're learning to real problems. And rather than doing it theoretically, we put a call out twice a year to nonprofit organizations and government agencies in Rhode Island and Southeastern Mass. And we say, do you have any problems, any issues in your communities that you need to understand whether they are potentially solvable or not? We're not a substitute for professional services, but many organizations will come to us and say, we've got this idea for something that might work in our community, but we want to test it out. We want to do that first 20%. And usually that's when you're not ready to go for grant funding yet. You're not ready to commit your own staff time to it. You're not ready to hire a consultant yet. What we do is we match students who are just about to head out into the workforce in their skills under the mentorship of faculty members who are licensed and expert in that field. So when Kevin put in an application to us that said, we want to understand if putting in this municipal facility that embodies all of these issues of sustainability, of handling things locally, of what can you put on a particular site, was a perfect fit for what we call our design and research team. And those are students from multiple disciplines: engineering, sustainability, architecture, construction management, to look at that problem and game through it, applying all their skills, working with a licensed faculty member on that issue. So the students are going to present their work, and obviously time is limited tonight. So they've put in over 200 hours of work work on this project, looking at what are the best practices for this nationally, how might this fit the site that the town provided us, and they'll give you that sense in about 12 minutes, 200 hours into 12 minutes. But they will also give you at the end a very complete final report that they'll turn over to the town. Basically, all the parties in this have the right to use our final report, so you can move forward with whatever your next steps in your decision-making process are. The other thing that's really important to add, I think, is Roger Williams gets no fee from this. The students get no fee from this. We do this as part of service with learning. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the team who have become far more expert than I in this facility.
Okay, thanks for that introduction, Arnold and Kevin. Good evening, everybody. Before we get started, we'll just introduce ourselves as well. My name is Isabel Clark. I'm a senior engineering major.
My name's Eva Allison Droney. I'm a sophomore architect major.
And I'm Emmy Young. I'm a second-year graduate in preservation with an engineering degree as well. And our fourth member, Julia Pateman, is a second-year construction management major, and she couldn't make it tonight.
So over the course of the next 12 minutes or so, we'll be introducing the project to you a little more in detail, showing you our final design proposal, and then walking through key components of that. We just do ask if you do have any questions, please hold them for the end. Okay, so when we started this partnership with Kevin and the Coventry Department of Public Works, we recognized that it was seeking to establish a municipal collection facility. And when we use this term collection facility, we're referring to a site that encompasses 3 different collection areas, as Kevin had explained earlier. The materials yard, the collection and composting area, and finally the debris management site. And the reason for establishing this site is because it will provide economic, environmental, and social benefits to the town. To name a few, as Kevin iterated earlier as well, reducing the cost of composting yard waste, reducing the amount of waste material entering the landfills, eliminating the cost to buy space in external landfills, providing finished compost to residents for free, providing a material storage area for the Department of Public Works, eliminating the need to haul debris to an external site, which is currently happening, and finally to provide an area to take debris immediately after a storm event.
The methodology we followed was beginning with Kevin, meeting with him, and finding out exactly what the DPW needed of us, needed us to incorporate into the site. We then looked into local precedents and other facilities in the state, including visiting the Bristol facility, to learn more about collection sites and gather inspiration. We also researched Rhode Island DEM and FEMA regulations. Rhode Island DEM stands for the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management, which we use to determine standards of designing a collection facility. And FEMA we use to determine regulations for the debris management yard. From there, we began our calculations for areas of each component of the site, and finally, we came up with our schematic design proposal. Oh, yep. And as I said before, we did adhere to all pertinent FEMA and RIDEM regulations.
So as we talked about, the proposed site components are the yard waste composting area, which will greatly benefit the town with residential yard waste. Specifically, we're talking trees, grass clippings, other things like that. Currently, they're being transported into neighboring towns, which is out of fee to the town itself. You're going to have we included a debris management site, which is for disaster, such as hurricanes and other weather that bring down trees or can damage buildings. And then the DPW requested having a materials yard, since currently their materials are located in various locations across town. So the site that's proposed was given to us by Kevin. It's located off of Nike Site Road, which is 2 miles down the road from here. The usable site itself is about 15 acres. As you can see, it also comprises of the road itself, and that long strip along the bottom is about 200 feet of an electrical line that separates it from the residential area lower. There's also a water tower on next to the site that is for close access to utilities. You can also see at the bottom we have a topography map to show the southwest slant for drainage, which we'll discuss later on. Did I click it? Yes, I did.
Okay, so to get more into the actual design proposal, this is just a quick glance at the actual proposal as how it fits into the context of the site. So if you look at the image on the left-hand side, it's our actual design proposal over the property map, whereas on the right is the same image as before, just to keep that context of help of the geographical location. So to look closer at just the proposal, the design proposal itself, there's a couple things we want to point out here. First, the black line, the outlining the entire area is just the parcel outline that you saw before in the previous pictures, the yellow line before. And then the purple line that's offset from that shows the restrictions of the windrows, the part of the composting facility. They have to be within those lines to meet regulations. You can also note that where the access road will be, towards the lower left-hand side of the screen, those little dots are cars, the black ones, so you can see that's where it would be entering and exiting the site. It'd be treated as one-way traffic. And the cars also help give you perspective to the scale of the site as well. So moving closer, moving right through the site, the first collection area that you'll see is the materials yard, indicated by the black and gray patterns. And then as you continue to go right, the brown areas will be the yard waste collection areas. And then on the far right is the debris management site. And you can also notice that the dark brown berms, earthen berms surrounding the entire site, as well as the drainage components in blue towards the bottom. Okay, so to first get into the yard waste collection area, that's circled in red on the right-hand side of the screen. That's where the residents or the debris, the yard debris is directly from the residents will be taken there, where they'll await shipping, and then they'll be stored there until they're ready to be composted. And it's pretty conveniently located just on the inside of that second access loop, so that makes it convenient for the trucks who will be dropping off the debris. The second aspect of the composting part is the windrows, which are essentially where the composting process takes place. So once the material has been chipped down and is ready for that, they're moved into the windrows where they'll sit for a few months until they've reached an acceptable compost level. You can note that there's 6 different windrows. Each will be about 26 feet wide, of variable length. And another thing to note is that in between each is 25 feet to allow for adequate vehicular travel. And also, if they were all filled to their maximum capacity, they'll have the ability to withstand 22,000 cubic yards of material. Okay, and finally is the finished compost storage area. So this is once the material is ready to be moved from the windrows, but before it's dispersed to the residents, just like a holding area. It could be either enclosed or not enclosed. It's a decision that will be up to the town. And also it's large enough to hold 15% of the total compost that could possibly be facilitated in one time in the windrows.
And then right there to the left is the materials storage area. There will be 8 compartments for DPW materials storage. The compartments are located adjacent to the paved access road to allow for easy loading and unloading of the materials. And the design provides ample room for front loaders to maneuver around the compartments.
So the last area, the last main area is the debris management site, which comprises of the entire backside of the plant itself. So the debris management site follows rules of FEMA and the Town of Coventry's debris management plan. We looked at storm data from Hurricane Sandy to help do calculations to figure out an acceptable size that would be able to fit on this site. So we determined that there was much more vegetative debris that ended up coming out of Hurricane Sandy. So that is a bigger component of the site on the northern part. And then below that is for construction debris. They're following FEMA regulations. There are 2 lookout towers on the entrance and exit of the site itself. And this site is part of it. The vegetative one is 0.92 acres, while the construction debris is 0.78 acres. And this can hold quite a bit of, can hold about 370 full-size trees, and can also hold debris from 28 1,500 square foot homes if need be, which hopefully that won't happen. So the key characteristics of the sites are the lookout towers, having the 2 sites be separated, and having clear entrance and exit for flow of traffic for debris. So that having this will help if storms happen, you'll be able to quickly relocate debris from roads straight into your site. So of the site features that we've included, the first one are earthen berms. Berms are used to mitigate noise, dust, odor, and runoff. These, we've currently put them completely enclosing the site to help mitigate that more. They're 20 feet wide at the base, and they'll be vegetative, meaning they'll be covered with trees or grass and other things to also help further mitigate anything that comes out of the site.
Our access roads, our roadways will be 30 feet wide to allow for access of large vehicles and firefighting equipment. The front access road will be paved with asphalt to prevent mud tracking. The remaining roadways do not necessarily have to be paved, but could also be paved with asphalt millings or gravel.
Okay, so the last one of our site management features is the drainage. As I pointed out earlier, it's the blue in the bottom. We have 2 sort of drainage components. There's the detention swales and the detention ponds. The swale is the more rectangular shape on the right, which is used to help convey the runoff water into the detention ponds. And those would ideally be each slightly lower elevation than the first, and there'll be overflow weirs between all of them to allow for easy flow of excess runoff. And they also, in addition to providing excess runoff control, they also provide filtration for the water. Okay, so that concludes our presentation. As Arnold had mentioned earlier, we're also going to be handing off the AutoCAD file of this drawing, as well as a research report compiling all the research that we've done, all of the specific requirements that have been met, and all that kind of stuff. So thank you for having us, and we'd like to open the floor for questions.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you very much. You can tell there was a lot of hard work and many hours put into this, so I appreciate you guys doing that. And I'm sure when you give us the final report and, everything update, we'll probably have more questions, but you guys are pretty thorough. I mean, I don't know if anybody in the council has any quick questions. Sure.
I just want to say thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
When did you start the project? I'm sorry, I missed that part.
We started officially working on it last spring. We did the bulk of the work in the spring, and then we revisited and touched upon it a little bit last fall.
Okay.
Last fall.
And when you were talking about the 2 lookout towers, what's the purpose of the lookout towers?
It's a FEMA regulation. It's to make sure what's coming in is construction debris and vegetative debris specifically, because they don't want other things coming in from that's like landfill, because these have very different kinds of like, what is it? Yes. So having these separated, like you wouldn't want all of your vegetative debris mixing in with your construction debris, because all that vegetative debris could also be moved then into composting as well. And then the construction debris has hazardous. It also makes sure there is no hazardous materials coming into the site.
And researching this, other municipalities, how many other municipalities in the state have something like this?
Like specifically a collection facility with all of these things included as well?
Or yes.
I don't think there's any just quite like this one with all of these components in it. We found other composting facilities as well that do windrows. There's one right in Bristol that we checked out, as well as a couple others that we've researched online. The debris management site, I don't know if we had.
I don't specifically remember finding any debris management sites in close by, but.
Was this based on just for the town of Coventry, or is this to bring in other municipalities, their debris?
Specifically followed the town of Coventry's debris management plan that I think Kevin gave us, and also following FEMA's regulations specifically. And that's what the data, the federal.
Okay. I think, and when will the final report be ready?
I'd say probably within the next few weeks, just to make sure we have everything neat and tidy.
Oh, terrific. Now this question will be for the interim town manager.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Could we put this up on the town website, this presentation? Because you know what we have in our packets is we just only have 3 pieces of paper, and actually trying to read this was a little tiny. I had to get a magnifying glass. So, okay. And I have the other question. Do we know who owns the Walker Ridge Conservation Area where this is proposed?
So.
Yeah, this parcel is owned by the town of Coventry. It's a 19-acre site. The conservation area runs adjacent to the power line easement, and that's the Walker, and that's not being touched. That's on the other side of the power line easement from National Grid.
Okay, so this 19
is owned by the town of Coventry.
Okay. So I'm assuming that, we would be reaching out to the residents that live on Fieldstone Drive and Reed Schoolhouse Road?
Yes, we will. We'll be.
At this point, this is a presentation.
Okay.
Just a presentation so the council can see what Kevin is proposing and what the work that these young ladies have done, which is fantastic. Thank you. Excellent job. And giving you a chance to see what it is and then decide if we want to do more research and move forward with this whole idea. So that's what this was about tonight.
I was just asking because this is the first I'm hearing
If
about
we move,
it. And
if it moves forward, then yes, they would all be
it's
contacted
just
and
that
we'd be
they've been
going with
working on
that.
it for quite a while, and
Yep.
we didn't even get wind of it. So I just wanted to make sure if that
There would
that
be.
all those
Yeah.
residents.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mrs. Baker, we want to make sure we had all the facts to present to the council before we started going out publicly with this. And keep in mind that the houses on Fieldstone would be a minimum between 400 to 500 feet from the beginning of the first earthen berm. So there's plenty of space in between them. So.
Yeah,
We absolutely would notify the neighbors
Absolutely.
and have a public
Love a public
hearing on
hearing.
it. So, but this is great that it's just a preliminary, showing us all the work you put into it. It's definitely needed. I mean, we need that. We have some astronomical costs coming in the future if we don't do something like this. So, it's definitely something needed, but we'll have further discussions. I look forward to the final report that you guys have, and then Kevin can come up with some costs for us and, some more figures. But once again, I really appreciate the hard work you girls put into this. Yes?
I've got a question regarding the finished product, if you will. What have other towns done with the finished product? Have they sold it? Have they just handed it out to the residents?
Yep. The compost material would actually be utilized by the town for Parks and Recreation, DPW. It would be offered to the residents at no charge, and any excess would be offered for sale to a wholesale nurseries or whatever to have income to help sustain the facility itself. But it would be offered to free to all the residents.
Terrific. Thank you.
And Ms. Dixon, you have
I have a question. Thank you very much for the thorough job that you did do. My question is this. What would be the pros and cons of using this particular site for this project? Because the town does own other parcels of land. So I'm wondering what challenges you may see in using this parcel of land versus something else. So pros and cons of this site.
This is the third site that we had looked at over the last 4 to 5 years. One was in Western Coventry. The other one was in Central Coventry. Both had opposition from certain council people, and it wasn't to the benefit. So this is the third location that we had that we do own the land. centrally located to with our DPW facility now, so we could save any trucking cost, and also to provide a service for taxpayers to save money on the escalating costs throughout the town.
So I'm just concerned, are there any cons to using this particular site? Because it is near a neighborhood, so to speak.
Well, again, we're near no matter where we are, we're near somebody. And this is centrally located. Like I said, we're located far enough away from any residence, between 400 to 500 feet. And then we would also have the earthen berm with shrubs and trees planted in the top of the berms to help shield that area. So we've tried to find a site that was, first of all, the town owned, and also would have the best facility for the town and with the least amount of impact to the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Good job. Okay, the next item, item number 9, Madam Clerk.
Next, we have the Finance Director audit update for 2018.
Good evening, John. How you doing?
Good evening. I just wanted to come before you all tonight, and I said thank you very much again. But this is really for you. I just wanted to provide you the financial statements ahead of time and a little update as far as where we are in the audit process. The financial 18 audit is still underway. I provided you the draft version of this, which was provided by the auditor, Baxter Dancero and Associates. We are in the final stages of this. So the information that you have is not quite public yet. It's on the cusp of that. Once the financial statements are passed through and the Department of Revenue gives their seal of approval on. What you have before you are missing just a couple little pieces, such as the manager's discussion and analysis, also known as the MDMA. But as far as the numbers are concerned, again, why I provided them to you was that you could get it to your hands a little bit earlier, get your fingers through it a little bit, get some information ahead of time, rather than waiting a couple more weeks. So the numbers themselves should not change at this present time. I don't see that happening. And to draw your attention to some sections, if you had any questions, I can tell you some sections of where they are to help your review of these before they come out and become public. So that's where we stand right now in the audit. I'm working with the Department of Revenue to do the last couple sections, a couple pages actually. It's only one section with only a couple pages, which has to do with the municipal data report. So that's the state regulation. Everything has to tie out to put in the Rhode Island format, and that's where we stand right now.
And once the final annual financial report is done by that Baxter Dancero, we will still have a presentation from
That is
Baxter
absolutely
Dancero.
correct.
Okay,
Absolutely
great.
correct. There will be a full presentation by them on the financial statements. Again, this is just to get
I
you guys up
appreciate
to
you
speed
giving this to
at a
us.
quicker rate rather than waiting a little bit longer.
Basically a rough draft.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question. You mentioned the management discussion and analysis. When can we see that? Because I was looking for that in this report. I didn't see anything.
That is that's the last section of this. So once I go through and I get the stamp of approval essentially from the Rhode Island Department of Revenue, then Baxter Dancero and Associates will work with them and we'll draft that last piece, which will have the highlights of it, which is a really great, as you know, a really great synopsis of the financial standing for fiscal year 18. So
When do you expect we'll see that?
2 weeks from now. Everything should be finalized within the next 2 weeks.
Excellent, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, thank you, John. Appreciate it.
You were going to also receive an additional monthly report, and unfortunately, the power outage kind of messed up, finalizing the agenda and adding that item in, and that's why you don't have it. We were barely able to get this in. We had to go down to our solicitor's office to post this and finalize it with the state. So you would have gotten that if,
while the polling outage happened.
So you would have had that, but that's why that's not in there, just to give you an explanation.
Okay, the next item, section C, discussion and action. Madam Clerk, number 1, please.
Motion to renew tow list applications, Twin City Towing Incorporated, 95 Ty Oak Avenue, and Moore's Motor Services Incorporated, 487 Washington Street.
Okay, do Town manager, you have anything to say on that, or did,
The chief is here, and the letter came out of his office, so I'd rather have him come up and speak on it if he has no objection.
So these are the tow companies that we currently are using right now. Pat's did reach out to us, and we inspected his place. He needs to do a couple things. He knows what he needs to do to come back, and we can bring him back before council as long as he complies with a couple of updates.
All right, exactly, specifically, do you have any specifics?
It's more of housekeeping stuff. I think it was just cleaning up. He had some interior stuff with his walls. We went through it, took some pictures. I can send council a copy of the report. So it's not a lot. I think he should be able to comply.
Okay, yeah.
We spoke on the phone. He and I did probably a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Okay, because in other words, I know that he had done so much work on the building. And
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what could possibly be, and I guess he had some water damage and
He
some
might have.
stuff inside.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what, I guess the debris was, construction debris in nature for what he cleaned out.
Oh, yeah.
From what he told me, because I was concerned to say, wow, well, okay, what are the issues?
Yeah, it's not too
So-
much, I don't think. I sent my lieutenant of detectives down there.
Okay,
who would,
but other than
inspect
those
it.
issues, do we have anything,
No.
there's nothing else?
Yeah, he and I
that's,
talked. There's nothing else at all.
There's nothing else that's holding back from doing that. My question could one of the things that I was hoping that rather than have to come back before council, et cetera, if we could do like we do with liquor licenses, put a stipulation on here that that you're on the list
complies.
as soon as that last inspection.
That was the
happens and it's
agreement, how we
compliant.
left it, so.
Because that's why I've got the letter saying that he'd be advised of these and will request reinspection once it is corrected. So
Roger.
once it's corrected, he's good to go?
He is.
Great.
so I guess, you have a question?
I do. Actually, maybe more of a statement. In light of the fact that this council has been receiving complaints made against it in violation of the open meeting, I'd like to ask our solicitor. The copy of the agenda item that we have in our package clearly states Pat's Wrecker Service, but the agenda that was supplied to the general public certainly does not list Pat's Wrecker Service as part of the agenda item that we are discussing tonight. Should that be tabled, should this item be tabled until an accurate agenda can be presented to the public to match the agenda items that are supplied in our package? Therefore, we don't have to worry about another suit or a complaint being filed against this council, because there's clearly a difference.
Yeah, I noticed Pat's wasn't on, we're talking about the omission of Pat's.
I am, on the agenda that was supplied to the general public that was in our package, I'm going to assume.
Mr. Cody, the reason that's in there like that is because it was, at the time, it was just the two that they were recommending prior to Pat's getting the final approval. So that's why it was only with two of them listed.
But if Pat's isn't listed on the agenda, then we shouldn't be voting on it as part of our package. It should be tabled until the agenda can be straightened out and we can vote on it at the next meeting. So therefore, we're not going to have another complaint filed against us.
What's your opinion on that, Mr. Solicitor?
That's what I'm asking for, is the solicitor's opinion.
I'm trying to ascertain, was Pat's on the list that was published on the Secretary of State's website?
Madam Clerk, would you know that?
I thought it was. I could have sworn
If it was
was.
on the Secretary of State's website,
I don't know. I'm just trying to avoid.
Yeah, because I don't see a resolution in our packet either with that. All I see is the letter from the colonel.
Right. I'm just trying to avoid any complaints lodged against us moving forward. That's all.
Yeah.
Colonel, it has nothing to do with you. It's
No,
just, it's a procedural thing.
The safe thing to do is just approve the two that are on this agenda that's before you. That's the safe thing. I was just curious because I thought.
It's in the letter from the chief that's in the packet. That's a posting.
Oh, well then that wouldn't
No.
that wouldn't
The heading-
redeem
the heading is
redeem the error. So
Yeah, the heading is
I think you're free to consider what's on the agenda, which is, to be clear, item C1 of the agenda tonight. Twin City Towing and Moore's Motor Service, and then at the next meeting, if you want to consider putting Pat's on the agenda, you can.
Are we free to table it until we can do all three of them together?
Well,
is that an option?
It's council
Because
preference.
the list is going to stay active.
It
The
will.
existing list is not going to change
Until
if
you
we don't
ratify
approve
new
it
list.
tonight.
Roger.
Because just like a position in town, they serve until someone else is appointed to take their place.
I mean, I personally don't see any problem with approving the two we have and just adding the third one on the next one, you know.
Any tow company in town that meets the requisites can come to us at any time. It's not only this time of year.
Because we still have
We still have a fourth opening.
There's 3 additional spots on there. It's not just held to 2,
No, I
two
understand.
positions, right? We
Right.
have 5, right?
So they're not on a timetable or anything.
Yeah, I mean, Councilwoman.
I'd like to offer that on the agenda is a listing of 2 tow companies, and we should be making a motion and voting on these 2. We should not be discussing this third company because it is not on the agenda.
Well,
So even
right,
though
but-
there
but-
is some supporting evidence, we should not be discussing the third one because it's not on our agenda.
And that's what
But
we're
I
seeking.
think we can because it says toll list application results 2019, so
The
I think
2
we can.
listed, we can discuss the 2 that are listed here.
All right,
But this
all right.
other but.
That's why we were seeking legal.
Yeah.
I think that, to an air of caution, that we could just vote on the 2, or if I have a motion to table it, if that's not going to affect the total list, either or, the chair.
Whatever
will
the
take a
pleasure of the
motion.
council is. It's
I just have a
Sure.
question, it's probably not for you, Colonel.
Go
In
ahead.
2017, we renewed Twin City Inn Moors on February 27th, 2017. Last year, it was March 26th, 2018. Now we're at the end of January,
we're
so I
still
mean,
early.
we're still early. So I guess my question is, when do we normally renew? Because we seem to be fluctuating here.
We ask for applications from our tow companies at the end of December, so they go through the holiday. I'm not exactly clear why I was a little delayed last year.
Okay.
But usually they come up in January and February.
Okay, so it's a 1 year?
It usually is every year. Yearly we renew.
Okay.
And then,
Yeah,
like I
'cause I
said,
just noticed that.
any company in town that meets the requisites that has a yard in town can apply at any time. We've in the past carried 4 tow companies
Oh,
on our
4?
list. 1 per week we would rotate.
Oh,
But
okay.
we've been down to 2 of the last year.
That's what I've noticed the last 2. Okay.
The 2 were on the
Thank
list
you.
originally, like I said, because that's all that had been asked for approval by the chief. So
Mr.
that's why we
President?
got that.
I'd like to make a motion to table this agenda item until the next meeting, when we can vote on them all at the same time.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
I vote.
Okay, ayes have it. Motion carries. We'll table it in the next meeting. We'll have, hopefully, the inspections will be done for the 3rd, and we can put it all on.
Exactly, we can maybe do it all together.
Okay. Okay, item number 2 under section C, Madam Clerk.
This is an approval of settlement between National Grid versus Town of Coventry, KC 216-0852 and KC 216-0853.
Okay, we had discussed this earlier. Mr. Solicitor, would you want to give us, the taxpayers, a quick rundown of?
Sure, if Mr. Celeste wants to make a
All
presentation.
right, I'm
and then-
sorry.
Good evening, council members. It is still pending litigation, so I'm not sure exactly how much detail I should get into at this point, but the thrust is that we've got an outstanding case with National Grid. We've got a settlement agreement in hand, and the process is that the council would
We
approve
have
that the
discussed it
manager
in
can.
executive
And we
session,
discussed
so
it in
we're well
executive.
aware.
Exactly.
How much more can we say without?
You can talk about anything you want. You have the, you can talk about it in closed session to talk about the basic contours of the settlement, but you can talk about it out here at this point if you want.
All right, well, why don't you give us a quick rundown? If he's giving us a legal opinion that we can talk
Yeah,
about it, why
it's-
don't you just
it's-
give the taxpayers a quick rundown on it?
Sure thing. So the case is stemmed from a prior tax assessor who worked for the town a couple of years back. He felt that National Grid was not properly reporting and felt that he should send some back tax bills for about 6 prior years on the personal property assets of the National Grid, otherwise known as Narragansett Electric, the gas company and the electric company. it was basically his own opinion of what the correct reporting should be, and he sent out the bills, and they were not paid. They were immediately appealed. They went all the way up to Superior Court, and at this point, we've determined that we really have no basis of enforcing any of the collection activity on this. They're not certified tax bills. They were never part of the budget, so it's really a net neutral for the town, even just to let it go. And at this point, we determined that the legal fees and any sort of efforts to try to appraise miles of electric line and pipes underground would be insurmountable versus the amount of money that's at stake. And again, non-budgeted and non-certified tax bills we're talking about.
So we will spend a lot more on legal fees trying to win anything, if at all.
You could spend legal fees forever. You'd have to get like an engineer to do an appraisal of all the assets of the National Grid in the town, and not just what they have now, but these bills are for prior years. So you'd have to say, okay, on December 31st of 2011, they had this much assets. On December 31st, 2012, and then one for the electric company, one for the gas company. So you'd basically need about 12 appraisals. And this is not, appraise a Dunkin' Donuts building. I mean, this is there's substations, there's poles, there's lines, there's buildings, there's pipes under the ground, there's booster stations. I mean, there's just
It just
a
doesn't
massive
make economic
amount.
sense to even try to fight this battle.
By the time it's all said and done, we will never. It's impossible for us to come ahead on this. It's best to cut our losses at this point. We've spent a few dollars here and there on some legal action in the past due to the fact that there was a litigation brought against the town, and at this stage, I feel and legal agrees that this would be best to just kind of cut our losses at this point. They're willing to drop the case, and it would. Overall, we all feel that would be the best approach at this
All right,
stage.
does anybody from the council have any questions? I know we discussed this in closed session. Mr. Solicitor, you have something to comment?
Just wanted to note I think the resolution is to adopt the settlement agreement that I think was shared in closed session. I've reviewed
Correct.
it. My office assisted in its preparation. It's acceptable. So in essence, that's what you're voting on is the settlement agreement, which I think Mr. Celeste has accurately described. Everybody's walking away, including National Grid and the town, and there's no money changing hands or anything of that sort.
I'll make a motion that we approve each of these settlement agreements, KC 2016, 0852, and 0853.
So we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Do you have a question or comment?
I just wanted to make the settlement agreement, I just want to make sure that the date is changed in both.
Yeah, the sign
I
date,
just want to make
sign date
sure
will
that
change on it.
Okay, yeah, there was a
On-
question on that.
Yeah, because it's
the front page and then on the.
It says December, that's when it was prepared. You're absolutely right, and it will be changed.
Yeah, once it
Thank
gets,
you
yeah,
for
once
your
it gets signed, it's all going to be dated.
remarkable proofreading yet again.
All right, so we have a motion, and change the motion to reflect any changes or updating on the
For the
dates.
current dates, so the
Okay.
sign date.
And do we have a second? Do we? Yes, Mr. Cody, you have a
I'll
comment?
second.
You'll second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, sir. Okay, under section D, item 1, Madam Clerk.
We have a new victualling license, Utter Delights Ice Cream and Frozen Desserts, LLC, doing business as Utter Delights Ice Cream and Frozen Desserts, 1373 Main Street.
Do we have somebody, you're here representing Utter Delights? Yes, sir. Well, could you tell us a little bit about what you want to do and a little bit about your business?
Well, we used to be at DeSantis Ice Cream, and we used to go there, and we decided to open a new business. And,
That's at Abbott's Crossing, correctly?
Yeah. Right at the bike path.
Yeah,
Make
Abbott's
sure you turn
Crossing.
the mic on and talk to the mic, because there's 100 people can't hear you in the back. If you would push the...
Hello?
the
Yep,
one.
there you go.
There you go. Appreciate if you're talking to the mic, sir.
Yeah, it's Abbott's Crossing in Perina.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
right there.
It's the yellow building down the
Yeah,
road.
all right. So, are there any questions from anybody in the council? I mean, you believe that's in? is that
No,
in the district?
listen, there's never enough ice cream parlors, so I got.
I
whatever.
agree.
I welcome you on board. I think that it's a great idea. I mean, I used to go there myself at DeSantis, and of course, we welcome business in town. You know, anybody. And if there's any other questions,
I just,
you have a comment?
when are you planning on opening?
This location will open, we're targeting the beginning of April.
Beginning of April? Thank you.
We'll be sure to let you know.
Okay, thank you.
So you're still in the process with planning and zoning, and any of that has to be done?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great, great.
Yeah, myself and the president won't be the guys that are walking up the bike path to come visit. We'll be the guys getting out of the car in front.
Any way you want to come.
Well, if there's no other questions, the chair will.
Like to make a motion?
Why don't you, is his
I'll
district-
second it.
Okay. We have a motion and we have a second. Are there any other questions?
I think we got a lot of
Any-
seconds, a lot of ice cream
All right,
lovers up here.
You know what, I do have one,
do it.
quick-
One more.
I'm sorry,
What?
I'm sorry, one more. Hours of operation, when are you gonna be open 7 days a week, or have you decided yet?
In peak season, which is about from May till the end of October, will be from 11 a.m. until 10 p.m. Off-peak season, we will be open year-round, Wednesday through Sunday from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay.
It's okay to eat ice cream in the winter.
Oh, it sure is.
absolutely.
Well, sure is. Well, you also have ice cream cakes and ice cream pies as well.
Oh, okay, great, thank you.
Great. Well, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Welcome to Coventry, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, section E, resolutions for discussion and/or action. Madam Clerk, would you read number 1, please?
Mr. President, if at all possible, could we take number 2 first? And
Okay.
get that one out of the way?
That's fine. It doesn't matter to me. So number 2 then, that'll be fine.
Thank you.
Ratification of memorandum of agreement between the town and the International Brotherhood of Police Officers, Local 306, to change the date pension contributions begin and when longevity calculations begin to the date on which the officer enters the Rhode Island Municipal Police Academy. This rescinds a town policy issued on August 11, 2016 by the former town manager and reverts to the prior agreement between the town and the union dated December 1st, 2007.
Okay, I think, Mr. Manager, if you want to give an explanation.
I certainly will. This date back, the original agreement between the IBPO and the manager that was signed on December 1st, 2007, was an agreement that stated that the officer would be contributing into their pension from day one in the Municipal Police Academy, and their hire date is listed as that day that they begin the Municipal Police Academy. This agreement memorialized the process and the procedure that had been going on for several years prior to that. All of the officers going to the academy, they began contributing up into their pension on the day they began going to the academy, and that also began as their origination date of hire date. In August 11th, 2016, the former town manager, through why I don't know, decided to change what had been going on for all these years and suddenly put out a mandate, a unilateral, unvetted, for lack of a better word, thank you, mandate that said this was no longer the case. The officers would begin contributing into their pension after they were sworn into the police department, changing things that are going on for the last 20 years without any benefit of it ever going in front of the council, or that was simply his mandate. What we're doing here is we're simply trying to bring this back to where it was, put all of the officers back in play that are all in the same group, and also at the same time, they will pay the contribution, the pension contribution, to bring them in line with what they should be at. So it's effectively a house cleaning procedure, and to put all officers in one group again and not try to split them up.
And this affects just 5 police officers.
There are 5 police officers that this affects, for a total of, on 4 of them are about $1,000, and the other, $2,000. And the fourth one is, or the fifth one is slightly more. He's at
$2,300.
$2,300. and change.
And this will be of no cost to the town, except that they will pay to get their credits for the 6 months in the academy, and they will pay for those.
Correct. It will just reset their start date to the original date at the academy and putting them in line with the other officers in the department. I spoke to the chief, and Chief McDonald was in complete agreement with this, that in fact he fought against the mandate that the former manager put out on his own to do this, that changed this.
Okay, are there any questions or concerns from the council? Yes, Councilwoman.
Yesterday, I did send an email. Again, excuse me. Yesterday, I did send an email to Mr. Gorham to ask for a legal opinion. He responded very, very quickly. He and the manager did a lot of research to verify the situation. So I'd like to thank them for their quick response so that we could resolve this issue as quickly as possible. So thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And we do want to be fair to all, the police officers that, that were hired within that time, Yes,
If I may, sir. Mr. Gorham, I know you were the solicitor at the time. I think you were the solicitor at the time. Did the former manager ask you to opine on this before he made this? Or was this just a unilateral decision on his behalf to come out with a mandate out of his office?
I don't believe I ever opined on it. One thing we are doing tonight, though, I believe this is the first time the council has actually ratified it. So
Right.
he was simply reversing the decision of prior town managers. What we're doing tonight, though, is unique in that we're ratifying it at the council level, which I think should avoid any further fluctuation, if you will, as took place in August 2016.
Which probably should have been done originally.
Possibly,
Yeah.
It's a preference thing.
Just to, on that, I went back and tried to research and find if I could see anything from the manager. I couldn't. I'm not saying he didn't, I just can't find anything. But something in this mandate that he put in there that would, to me, indicate that no attorney ever looked at this. He came out with his ruling that if an officer, if a recruit at the academy gets injured, that he will be treated and carried under Section 45-19-1 Rhode Island General Laws as amended in 56. This ordinance, or this law is simply for police officers injured in the line of duty. This
Not the
doesn't.
academy.
Not the academy.
Doesn't
So I
apply.
can't see any attorney ever having reviewed this and say, yeah, I would have went with this. It just made no sense to me.
Okay, so legally now we're.
I'm all set. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, well, the chair, if there's no other questions, you go ahead.
Yeah, we've reviewed the memorandum of agreement, which was prepared by the town manager with the assistance of David D'Agostino in my office. So it has been vetted by lawyers this time. We approved it, and we think that it's acceptable. Thank you.
Okay, well, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion.
So move.
We have a
Second.
Okay, we have many a seconds. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the next order of business is item number 1, Madam Clerk, under E.
This is a ratification of a memorandum of agreement between the town and the Internal Brotherhood of Police Officers, Local 306, that allows family sick leave days to be voluntarily donated under Article 7, Section 2 of the collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Internal Brotherhood of Police Officers.
Okay, that's
All right, this one came up when we were researching and doing some of the other stuff. This one, again, is just a house cleaning. This was actually agreed to by a former town manager Hoover, allowing the officers to do that. They have a whole clause in their contract that allows for this. And Mr. Hoover authorized them to use family illness time. It wasn't in the contract, so again, we're just doing this to clean it up, put it in front of the council, and have it authorized by the council, and so it's official.
just so the taxpayers will know that the officers get paid for these family leave and sick days. This is just to be able to donate it to a brother officer or a sister officer that's in need of it for whatever the reason. And so it's not of any cost to us because they're getting paid whether they're being used or whether they're not being used. So that being said, are there any questions? You make a motion, you have a comment?
No, a date, sorry.
A date?
The date on here, it says December 14th, 2018. Does it need to say today?
No, we will correct that before we sign it.
Okay, well, I just
Again,
want-
this was something that was going to come up in council last month, and then that's why it's now, and we will fix the date before we do it.
Okay,
so-
I just wanted to point
Yep.
that out.
With
Thank
the,
you.
with the date being fixed, I will entertain that motion again.
Make a motion.
I second
And I've got one more question as well,
Okay.
too. Now, was this, my question was it in the collective bargaining agreement that it was done, or it was not, and it was just part of the policy that Mr. Hoover had done before?
No, it was an it was a letter that Mr. Hoover wrote authorizing the IBPO to be able to use the days like that. It was never incorporated into the contract.
Oh, okay, well, because, I mean, on here it's saying that Section 2C of the collective bargaining agreement, so I don't know if that, if the chief could just,
I think the CBA calls for donation of sick time.
And vacation time.
But not specifically family illness. So
Oh,
a couple
okay.
of things came out where, someone's
and it was more,
child
it
might
was
have
more
been sick.
policy before as opposed to doing that, so,
Right,
you
the
know.
CBA is specific about sick time, but there was a policy that was allowed and then there was
Right.
So this will be
Yeah.
changed in the CBA and agreed upon among the members.
Not at this time, it will on the next contract.
contract
This
will
will
roll
simply
this
be an attachment to it. Until then, both of these will, and they'll be incorporated
But-
on the next contract.
Didn't Mr. Hoover issue that letter to the IBPO as a memorandum of agreement, so it would be attached? It didn't become part of, but it was going to be attached to the contract?
During the last CBA round, we spoke with our labor attorney who said that those things need to go into the CBA every 3 years, so. And also, we've come to the realization that it should come before council as well. So it should go right to the next CBA. We'll make it a point that it does.
Well,
No, I
that's
thought
kinda
that
where
was-
I was going
I
with
thought
the
that was
question,
Mr.
that it-
Hoover's
that, you know,
intention
seeing
when he
as
issued
Right.
that letter.
Right, but we never found an actual
Right.
MOA that
May very well have been his
All right.
intention.
that codified this, so that's why we're doing it to clean it up to make sure it is.
Okay, so Mr. Labastian's question about the Section 2 of the CBA is just concerning the
Sick time.
The sick time. Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, that being said,
So now
everybody-
it's gonna be sick time or
And
family
family
leave
illness.
time, so to speak, for family illness of that person.
And
donate to
vacation
another
time as well.
Vacation, whatever, yeah.
And all that time is
Common-
paid to the police officers, whether they use it or not, it's their time.
Right, I just gave my last 2 days at the end of the year to someone, so it's just, that time doesn't accrue either. That time goes away at the end of the year. The
Right.
family illness is
Well,
3 days
If I'm
and
not
then it
mistaken,
goes
I
away.
think that's the teachers have something in their contract.
Listen,
as
I
well,
would
too.
venture to guess that throughout the country, it's probably, it could be considered common practice in most municipal unions.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the fire side, as well as on the police side, as well as on the teachers' contracts.
Yeah, if someone-
I
Council-
think you'll
Council
find
94
throughout the
actually.
state that it's common, throughout the United States, it's common practice where the unions are in place.
That's why it came up, Council 94 is allowed to do it through their CBA.
Okay, I mean, I'm not sure if it's a common practice, but however, if they're getting paid for it anyway, I don't have an issue with them donating it to a fellow
Yep.
officer who's in need for whatever reason. So, with that being said, if there's no other questions, I will entertain a motion.
He already got a motion, a
A
second.
motion, you're right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion
Thank you very
carries.
much.
Okay, the next order of business is public comment. I am going to reiterate that public comment will be 3 minutes long. We will not be able to answer any questions for public comment. If anybody has any questions that they would like to talk to a council member after the meeting on an individual basis, that would be fine. Or you would have the opportunity to call us or email us on an individual basis. That also will be fine. So with that being said, Mr. Assalone, I see your hands up. You'd like to speak for public comment.
So there are no questions allowed.
Absolutely.
Can't talk about junk car, junk boats, junk houses.
Not on the agenda, and that's what we're running up against. We're trying to,
I'd like to get it on the agenda because I'm a bit fed up with it.
Well, then
Other people in the town now.
get a hold of me during the week, and we'll do that.
This is a partial list of properties owned by Coventry. Tax assessor, collector, made a comment after the fact that this is only a partial list.
so everybody can hear it?
Yeah, why don't you just pass it out, John, and then,
Well, I'd like to look at the map on the back, it's very important.
Can you say this in the mic, please, so everybody can hear what you're
You can't
talking
hear me
about?
from here?
Could you do that, please?
Yeah. That's,
yeah.
You have before you a partial list of properties owned.
I don't have a,
You wanted $100,000 to take down the monstrosity on Main Street. That map in front of you is worth over $100,000, and it's not on the list. You don't even know what you own. The tax assessor doesn't know what she owns. So you have 70 properties that you know you own, and the one that's of value is not on the list. So I'll offer you tonight $100,000 for that property, or go to an auction. You're sitting out there between at least $100,000 to $500,000, $600,000 worth of properties, and you want to go to a financial meeting and raise taxes again. I don't mean you personally. Okay, this is just getting stupid. I have a lot of time now, and I'm going to stay with it. Okay, I want to see the town reasonably get cleaned up. I want to see summons going out, and I want to see follow through as a citizen. Okay, it's just disgusting out there, in my opinion. But this is most disgusting when you're looking for money and you're sitting on this, not you personally. So what's going on? That's my question. 70 on that list, and it's only, the quote was, there could be many, many more that we own we don't know. Well, I want to know. But the one in front of you, go to auction, my bid is $100,000. It's not going to be a development. Maybe you might get one house in there, but I know it's worth $100,000. So get the money. Look at it. And no, I'm not talking down to you at all. I just can't hear that well. So let me apologize for that, okay? But I think it's a bit ridiculous. So I think, Mr. Cody, you said it was $100,000 to take down that monstrosity. I'll write you a check. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to make a comment? Seeing none, a motion to adjourn is in order. So moved. We have a second. We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries.